Hello, I am Marie Contreras. For the last 20 years, I have been a vintage and antique collectibles reseller on eBay. For the last 5 years, I have run my own pet care business. I write a weekly blog about pet care, and I recently wrote my first book about caring for dogs. I make videos on this channel about growing a small business, saving money, and living life on your own terms. If this sounds like something you would enjoy, stick around. I hope you enjoy what I created for you. Hello. This video is in response to a question that one of my viewers asked. They said, would I please make a video about handling big aggressive dogs like Dobermans, Pit Bulls, Rottweilers, and German Shepherds? And I'm happy to do that. I'd handle all breeds of dogs. I try not to handle a dog larger than what I can handle, so I don't normally do Great Danes just because they're too strong for me. But the first thing that I want to say about handling big, aggressive dogs is if you think the dog is aggressive or dangerous, don't handle it. The number one tip that I have in handling large dogs is you have to have a respect for them and you have to feel comfortable, truly comfortable, not fake it till you make it comfortable, but really comfortable. And that comes with experience. A lot of these dogs have a bad reputation and it's based on fear. Did you know that more people are bit by a Labrador Retriever than any other breed? It's not the big Dobermans and Rottweilers and German Shepherds and Pit Bulls that are causing the majority of the damage. It's the dogs that people have the most of. More people have Labradors than any other dog, so they're going to have more bites. Any dog can bite. Any dog can be aggressive. Any breed can be sweet and loving. A lot of it just depends on how they're trained, how they're handled, how they're socialized, and their environment. So if you feel like all Pit Bulls are bad, or all German Shepherds are bad, or Dobermans are bad, those are not dogs that you should be handling. Leave that to people who are comfortable with these dogs, respect them, and are not afraid of them. The main thing is that if you're afraid of a dog, if you're fearful when you're around a dog, any dog, that dog is going to pick up on your fear and they're going to mirror it to you. I have a Border Collie. She's a very sweet dog. She's never bitten anybody. She's very friendly. And we lived in an apartment about 6 years ago now when I lived in Texas. And there was one lady who was terrified of dogs, and you could tell that she was terrified of dogs because when I would come around the corner with Betty, she would go like this. And as soon as she had body language like that and did her gaspy thing, my dog would start barking at her. Now, Betty didn't want to hurt anybody, but Betty thought there was something wrong with that woman. And every time that woman had a fear response to Betty, Betty had an aggressive response to her. And that's not the first time that's happened. Every dog that I walk, if you go up to them and you go like this, that dog, the majority of those dogs are going to start barking at you. And they're responding to the fear. A lot of people say they can smell it, that our bodies put off pheromones and smells that dogs can smell. I don't know if that's true or not, but dogs are very good at reading body language. And they're very good at getting a sense of people. And dogs don't trust people that don't trust them. So if you don't trust the dog, or if you're afraid of the dog, you think the dog's going to hurt you, that's not a dog you should be caring for, in my opinion. That's number one, is a lot of it's in your head. And if you're comfortable around, now that's not to say that you should trust all dogs. I approach every dog that I meet slowly and cautiously because any dog can bite. And I know this. I have been bitten one time and it was by a tiny little fluffy dog. This dog was known to be a biter and it had to be muzzled to be handled. The owner recommended this. We knew this, and that's the only time I ever got bit, was putting the muzzle on this little dog. And this dog didn't bite me every time, but this dog was known to be a biter, and it was not any of the breeds that people normally are afraid of. I think it was like a Maltese, maybe? Not sure. But that's the only dog that ever bit me. I've never been bitten by a Rottweiler. they're big, strong dogs. If you're not strong and you don't have good upper body strength, they may be too much for you to walk. Not everybody can walk every dog. Even my Border Collie Betty, when my mother was still alive, she couldn't walk Betty. Betty lunges and she jerks unexpectedly from time to time. I've tried to train her out of that for the last 7 years, and she can still be unexpected if she sees a bunny or a cat. And you have to have slightly bent arms, and you have to be ready, because at any moment she's stronger than the Huskies and the wolf dogs that I walk. She is just really, really strong, and it happens so fast that you're not expecting it. So that's a dog that that knocked my mother down. I mean, she took my mom down to the ground. She did the same thing with my neighbor, who was probably 105 pounds, maybe 100, maybe not even 100 pounds. But this woman had very good experience with dogs. She was very comfortable around Betty, but she didn't have the strength for Betty when Betty did her jerky lungy thing. So you have to know your limitations. You have to know how physically strong you are. That's number 2, is, know your limits. Number 3 is if the dog has a bite history. I have one dog that I walk that has bitten people. It was abused. It's a rescue. We're working on rehabilitating it. And it has bitten other dogs, and it has bitten other people. We muzzle this dog before we take her out in public. We cannot take the risk of her biting another person. If she bites one more person, she will be confiscated by the county, and she'll be euthanized. We know this. So we take precautions that protect her and everybody around her from her biting them. People look at her and they give us dirty looks. They make comments, but the dog's alive. And when she's in her own home environment around people she knows, she's very sweet. But she was abused, she was starved, she was beaten, and maybe there's some genetics at play too. Her breed has nothing to do with it. It's in her nature. We have taken her to a trainer, we've taken her to a behavioral modification specialist, and they've all recommended putting a muzzle on her when we take her out in public. So that's what we do. So if you have a dog that has ever bitten another dog or another person, don't trust that you can keep that dog safe when you're out in public. Now, when I'm walking her and I see other people or dogs, we do cross the street. We'll turn around. We avoid contact with other people. However, you never know when you're going to turn a corner and somebody's got a dog that's off leash. And when those dogs run up to you, which they have with her, you need to have a muzzle on the dog as a backup. Now, if that off-leash dog got bit, it would be the owner's fault. It would not be the dog that bites fault. However, do you want the hassle? I mean, it's just not worth it. So we keep her muzzled. Now, if she bit another person that got too close, again, we just don't want the hassle. So we always keep her muzzled. But, we do logistically, we try to avoid people and dogs. If I'm out walking her, I try to walk her on streets that are not very busy. I try to avoid highly congested places. And I will cross the street or turn around and avoid contact as much as possible. But because you can never guarantee it 100%, there's always that person with their dog that's friendly and happy, and that owner is just not worried about their dog at all. That's the dog that could get killed if you have an aggressive dog that's not muzzled. So just for the public safety, we keep a muzzle on her. As far as handling techniques, there are things that I do with big, strong dogs. I always hold the leash in my right hand. I loop it over my wrist, and then I direct traffic with my left hand. So I basically am holding these dogs with 2 hands. And that gives me maximum control over the dog. I have my elbows slightly bent because that makes my arms stronger. And if the dog lunges or pulls suddenly, I've got room to go. If my arms are already straight, then the only place I have to go is to be pulled off my center of gravity, and it could knock me down. So because I don't want to fall down or get dragged by dogs, which I've seen other dog walkers
I've seen other people get dragged by huskies and strong dogs that want to run. I keep my elbows a little bent, and when they start to lunge or pull, I also bend my knees. You can also work with the dog and teach them to walk nicely. And of course, I do recommend that with everybody. Everybody should work on teaching their dog to heel. However, if you're a dog walker and you're getting these dogs later in life, and maybe they're 6 or 7 years old and haven't had a lot of walking experience, it can be hard to train an older dog to heel. Not impossible, but harder and longer, and you may not be spending a whole lot of time with the dog. So, and if the owner's not reinforcing what you're teaching the dog, it's going to make it that much harder. So that's when I use my defensive moves. The bent elbows, I bend my knees a little bit. I don't spend time on my phone. You know, I don't listen to podcasts or have earbuds in. My attention is on the dog and my surroundings. I'm watching for bunnies and cats, things that they might want to chase. I'm also watching for coyotes, things that might want to chase us. I do a lot of dog walks near the hills where there's a lot of coyotes. And this time of year, there's more than ever, it seems. So I'm always very present on my dog walks. I'm watching for off-leash dogs. I'm watching for humans that want to get too close. And you'd be surprised, people will even try and pet the dog that's muzzled. I'm just always watching for whatever's about to come at me. So those are my defensive moves. And that's pretty much it. Really the number one thing is, though, you have to be comfortable with the dog. If you're comfortable with the dog and the dog trusts and respects you, that's the biggest hurdle. If you're afraid of the dog, leave it to somebody else to walk. I hope this helps. If there are any tips that you would like to share, I am sure the other viewers and myself would love to see it. So please drop in the comments what you do to handle bigger, more aggressive dogs. And some dogs are aggressive, but they're not necessarily just the big ones. It can be the little ones. So whatever tips you do to keep yourself, your dogs, and the people around you safe and have nice, happy walks, I would love to hear it. Have a great day.
If you enjoyed this video, nudge the like button. If you would like to see more like this, consider subscribing. If you would like to read the blog or check out my new book, I'm going to leave links to them in the description. Thank you for watching. Bye till next time.